Hello, and welcome to the Yukon Entrepreneur Podcast Series. The series is all about how Yukon businesses are adapting their businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm recording today on the traditional territory of Champagne-Aniak First Nations in beautiful Dakwakata Junction. And I'll throw it over to Mark to please introduce yourself. Mark.
Yeah, good day. I'm Mark Stenzig, and I own Up North Adventures in Whitehorse, Yukon.
And Mark, what does Up North Adventures do?
So we're an outdoor adventure company situated here in Whitehorse, and we run tours year-round throughout the Yukon. In the summertime, we lead trips and tours out of Whitehorse, and typically canoes, kayaks, fishing boats, and we do a lot of rentals of gear. And so again, canoes and kayaks, we transport people around the Yukon, and we also sell all the gear as well. So we're dealers for different canoe manufacturers and all the gear that goes with that. And in the winter, we do mostly day trips with our snowmobile tours, ice fishing, snowshoeing, and snowmobiling. And yeah, they're based out of Fish Lake here in Whitehorse.
Very cool. And how long have you been operating?
Been here 31 years this spring. So May 1st was 31 years for us, so we've been around a while.
Congratulations on that. And Mark, who's your customer? Is it Yukoners, Canadians, international? Like, what's your customer base like?
So all of the above. Originally started back in 1991, and we built our business on the FIT, so independent traveler, and large German market. And so we'd be renting canoes to mostly to the German market, and that's changed over the years. We also had a bed and breakfast for 12 years. My sister ran Robert Service Campground, so the family was involved in that as well. And then in 2001, we moved to a downtown location. And throughout the years, the customer base has changed. So now, still in the international market, but a lot of Canadians, and we service the Yukon market very well as well. So they're typically buying canoes and kayaks and gear from us in the summertime, and we get some winter tours out of the locals in the winter time, especially if they have family visiting and they come up and they want to have an outdoor experience. So that works well for us. And now we're seeing more and more the South American market. So large groups coming up from Mexico. Mexico City, I think, has 23 million people in it. So we're seeing a very large Spanish-speaking group coming up to the Yukon now for the Aurora tours.
That totally makes sense, because I was wondering why so many people, like on the podcast feed, when I look at the data, are coming from South America to listen. I was like, why? And that makes sense if the market's expanding that way.
Yes, yeah. It's changed over the years. We had a large Asian market as well, and that's kind of gone up and down over the years. So it's changed.
Oh, we just lost your video there, Mark. Is your battery dying?
It is, yeah, and I guess there's a call coming through. So
that might be why.
There we go. Call you later.
Perfect. And what have you learned about your customer during the pandemic?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. So the customer base has changed a lot, and now is rebounding as we come out of the pandemic. But it changed from an international and national market to a very localized market. And so we were fortunate enough that going into COVID, we were a fairly healthy business. And we did have to change what we were offering as far as products were for our summer market. We would have, a rack, just say, of 100 canoes and kayaks plus, and we typically renting it out and selling canoes and kayaks. But really, what happened was, of course, we didn't have any travelers coming into the Yukon. So and the Yukoners couldn't leave. So we had a very large sale of canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards. So any product that we had in stock, of course, we weren't able to rent it out because we didn't have customers coming in. So we really helped the local market in supplying them with canoes and kayaks and stand-up paddleboards. So that really helped us through 2020 for sales. It worked very well for us.
Mm-hmm. And what was your first memory of the pandemic? When did you realize this was going to be a pretty significant event and change the course of your business for a period of time?
So before the summer, so March, early March, we were getting reports, and I think by March 17th, we got shut down, and travel stopped. We had to lay off guides that were doing our winter tours, and the world just kind of slowed down, came to a screeching halt. So it was a big thing for us, and it was hard.
Mm-hmm. Which of the public health measures have been the hardest or most challenging for you to adopt as a business?
Well, just the no travel health measures. So not allowing anyone to show up. That was a big deal. And as a small business owner, you're trying to find the balance. I also have a family, so trying to stick handle your way through keeping money flowing in, because you have responsibility to your staff and the people that you work with, as well as your family. And so trying to find ways to have revenue streams that doesn't affect, obviously we didn't want anyone to get sick at work and bring that home to the family. And so you're trying to balance that out, keeping everyone safe and healthy, and still trying to operate a business and keep people that, everyone needs a paycheck, and trying to keep that going as well. So that was a big challenge, a huge challenge. But yeah, March was the beginning, and everything just kind of came to a screeching halt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Yukon had that kind of zero COVID approach where everyone had to quarantine for 14 days for the first year, really, before they came into the territory. So must really prevented any real travelers coming in.
It did, yeah.
We've all had to adapt in some way to this sort of new normal, as we're, still in the pandemic, but in this sort of new normal of it. But which sort of adaptation in your business have you been most proud of?
Well, the most proud fact is that we kept our doors open. So that was not really an adaptation, but we were able to keep the doors open, and we kept employees throughout the whole process. So that was a huge deal for me, to be able to keep employment going. But yeah, as far as adapting, we did change in what we were trying to offer our customers, and keep it more of a local based service, and try to help locals get out on the water. Of course, we could still do our transportation with smaller groups, with all the health mechanism in place. So, your cleaning regimes, masks, disinfectants. So, all of that was in our vehicles. Everyone was wearing masks, and, small group size families. So that kind of thing. So the fact that we still, insured some vehicles, kept them rolling, that was a accomplishment, I think.
Mm-hmm. It was, yeah. What have you learned about your business model over the last 2 years?
You have to be quick on your feet. That's, as far as your business model, it changes all the time. It's small business, and you have to do your best to service your customer, no matter where they're coming from. And you do your best, and what have I learned? We've changed a lot, and we've stayed the same a lot, which is just trying to service the people that are asking for help.
Mm-hmm. Did you access any of the pandemic related supports from the government, like the business relief or?
Yes, we did. Yeah. And so, and we needed to be honest with you, it was a big relief to have those fundings come in and to help us, keep the paychecks going out. So yeah, it was very much appreciated and very much needed.
Were there any gaps in the funding?
Yes, I'm sure there was, but I don't, if they're available and we fit into the right box that was offered, I was very grateful for that. I think some of the funding could have been maybe presented different or offered differently to different companies, depending on your size and how many people worked for you, and that was into account for some of the programs, but not all the programs. And so, yeah, but it's easy to complain about stuff, but at the other side, we made it. Well, I wouldn't say through yet, but we're still here afterwards, and so yeah, I was grateful for what we did get.
Mm-hmm. Going forward, how are you thinking about your business differently? Where are you seeing opportunity?
Well, I think that I think the Yukon has still got a lot to offer national, international travels and local travelers. So I think the Yukon is poised to come out of the pandemic as we're starting to slowly now as a hotspot in the world for people to visit. And if we can keep offering good quality products, servicing the customers well, then I think, yeah, I think we're going to do well in the next years. But there's still a lot of big hurdles to get through. So staffing, of course, is a major one. So that was a huge hurdle and will remain a huge hurdle is trying to attract those frontline workers, the guides, the drivers, the office personnel to a position within the tourism industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does it feel like the tourism season has rebounded this summer? Like, is it sort of busy as normal, or is it still like how does it feel right now?
It feels very, yeah, we're busy as normal, but we're not back to 18 and 19 pre-pandemic numbers yet.
Right.
Again, that goes down to also staffing issues. So right. Attracting those positions to stay in the tourism industry, all those types of positions, and that's not our company. That's across the board. So a lot of people got scared off of being in this market, and as everyone says, we don't know where everyone went. And so we've had people that have been with us for years, and they've moved on to different positions. Obviously, we're very government heavy up in the Yukon here, so those positions are very attractive, and you're competing against that, and it's a huge challenge. And so with that is the onboarding of new staff, huge challenges in training everyone, and trying to get that on board as fast as you can, because customers are showing up and they need that quality of service.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm grateful for the first job that you ever gave me up in the Yukon, guiding for Up North Adventures. That's how you get them up from down south.
Yeah. It seems like it was long ago. We were all younger and smarter back then.
I know. I can't believe you've been in business for 31 years. It makes me feel old.
Well, I feel some of those canoes nowadays, but I can still get a canoe on my back, so that's good. I can do it for a while yet.
That's good. Have you taken up any new skills to sort of better position yourself for the last couple of years and what you see ahead?
Yeah, so my role, I've had to be back in the office a lot more. There's a lot more uh, paperwork that needs to be done. A lot more training has to happen. And so, yeah, my roles and responsibilities have changed quite a bit, and I've had to learn how to put myself into those positions where previous times we've had other managers that could take on a lot of those responsibilities, and so, yeah, and then training new managers to do that job. So when you have people that have been with you for a number of years, and you lose those key employees, it's a huge challenge for any business, but especially in small business.
Mm-hmm. What have you learned about leadership?
Good question. Have I ever learned about leadership? um, you have to stay positive. You really, really have to stay positive. Even, you've got cancellations coming in, and, the writing's on the wall and you could see it, but, you have to stay positive and focus on what you can do instead of what you can't do. And you have to portray that to everyone you work with. So all the staff around you, the customers that you're helping, and within the industry. So, you can't just crawl up in a corner and cry. You can be frustrated and want to hit your head against the wall on certain days, but we work in a pretty cool industry, and we live in a beautiful, beautiful area in the world, and we have a lot to give here in the Yukon. And if you keep positive and pay attention to the things that are right and the things that you can do, hopefully people will follow your lead on that and want to be a part of that movement to move ahead and keep on going. Although, obviously it has changed a lot, but I think if you keep that positivity, you can keep moving forward.
As we do this work of sort of coming out of this pandemic, or, learning how to live with COVID, what are some of the major issues that you're sort of seeing in the Yukon economy? What are you sort of paying attention to?
So for us is still air access, which is improved greatly. So some of our issues would be making sure we have enough hotels and so forth for groups coming in, and yeah, those are some of the issues we're having.
Those are big ones.
Yep.
Enough flights and enough rooms.
Yeah. And then of course it goes back down again. I know I'm repeating myself, but it is the right staff with the right qualifications to take people out on these great adventures that we have the possibilities to do up here. Yeah.
Any advice for emerging entrepreneurs?
I think it's the same advice I had before. It's to stay positive. And it is, be careful what you wish for. Of course, if you're an entrepreneur, it's, you dedicate yourself to serving others, and to try to get it right, try to do as best as you can, and be prepared for long days. It's a lot of sacrifice. You don't get to go home at 5, and it's hugely rewarding as well. So make sure that what you want is that that ownership of a small business, and you're prepared to work hard at it and sacrifice for it.
Any shifts in your worldview, looking at the world differently as a result of this whole thing?
We're just a lot smaller than probably most of us realized. It didn't take long to shut down the world, right? And so it happened very quickly, and it was a big wake-up call about how we're all so connected. It's not just with electronics. We are truly connected with the size of the world and the population of the world, and so what you do does matter. And it was a big lesson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was keeping you grounded through the whole thing?
Well, family. I got a great family, and just the fact that we're here to help other people, and we're going to do our best to continue to do that and service locals, international and national customers alike. So I think that kept me fairly grounded, a bit of a reset button for all of us, and a lot of back to the basics, where I'm still washing canoes and cleaning vans and so forth, where years previously I didn't do a lot of that, just because we were busy doing other things, and so and it's the way it is.
Any closing thoughts before we end out here today, Mark?
No, I just appreciate the time to be able to have some input, and I still love what I do. It's a great thing to be living in the Yukon and being in the tourism industry. So I still love it and still have a lot of passion for it. And if you want to do it, then I encourage young people to try it. It's very rewarding, very hard, but it can be very rewarding.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.